Prime locations, cheap rent, communal living. It's a growing phenomenon that more and more Londoners are opting for.
Sum up guardianship in one picture or image.
As the private rental market shuts people out. Where demand outweighs supply.
There's a housing crisis in Britain.
Housing is in the top 5 biggest election issues, according to pollsters.
The numbers of young people struggling with high rental costs is now said to be at a 5-year high.
Yet properties remain vacant. Is this the next solution to the housing crisis?
It's in no way a solution to put people in even more insecure, unsafe, often uninhabitable housing.
When my friends come to stay with me, they always go, "Oh, Simeon lives in a squat."
It's like a plaster on an absolute, amputation.
This room's $650, which is the cheapest in the property. Private renting, I was paying about $950 for just a double room, not even a living room in the flats or a house or whatever. So it suits me. That's all I need. So there's no complaints. You do feel like you're in a care home, but you do kind of forget it like little bits. Like you know we're in it because it looks like a care home, but you live with everyone, it just seems like a dorm room from university. So you kind of get that feeling.
Dave is one of 13,000 property guardians in the UK.
I mean, people have said they've seen ghosts in their room. I'm not even joking. 2 people have said they saw an old woman sat on their bed as a ghost. I was like, and someone else said they saw an old man downstairs walking around as a ghost. I was like, so that kind of freaked me out. But do you want to go to the kitchen? It's around this way. So you do get lost pretty easy in here. I've been here since November, so what are we, 6 months in, and that's why I try and stay to one side of the building, because this side it gets a bit more wavy and rooms everywhere.
We have just bought a swimming pool to put outside, by the bins, because that's the outside space. But I suppose it's more outside space than you'd get in other properties in London, to be fair.
Yeah,
got a car park.
There's loads of space.
You know,
there's loads of space.
People move in here for very different reasons. Like some people do it just for the price, right? The price is cheap, it makes sense.
Yeah.
Some people do it because they want a fun new experience.
Yeah.
To be honest, I moved in to my first guardianship was 2.5 years ago, and that was because me and my ex were living together and we split up. So I needed somewhere quick.
The average price of renting a room in London currently sits at £982, though this is often higher depending on your postcode.
He's brand new, aren't you?
When did you move in?
Thursday.
Oh my God, so recently. Tuesday.
Less than a week ago.
Yeah.
My room is £700 a month, and that's everything included. It's not a huge room, but it's not tiny. It's all right, yeah.
And are you happy with the price?
I think so. I think if I was being picky, I'd say it is a bit expensive for what you get. You could get a room in a house share for probably that same kind of amount, and it's gonna have maybe some a bit more maintenance on it. They're quite hands off. They're a security company. They're not there to look after the building, keep it clean, stop it falling apart.
They do say it in the contract. You are guarding the property, you are looking after it. It's kind of
And what does that kind of require of you?
Just do what it says, I suppose. It's all about deep cleaning and just keeping the lights on and just making sure people are not breaking in.
Property guardianship emerged in part as a consequence of the criminalisation of squatting.
From this morning, these people will face charges in England and Wales if they occupy residential properties.
So in 2012, then Prime Minister David Cameron's government, as part of a huge kind of suite of reforms in varying ways, criminalised squatting in a residential building.
Derelict homes and apartment blocks are a familiar sight in London's East End. And at the old...
It's taking squatting as an idea, as a way of living, and it's capitalising on that.
Do you feel like squatters or no?
No.
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 At the moment I do, but a little bit because I haven't got my bed frame yet. I'm
You haven't got a bed for it?
No, I'm sleeping on my mattress on the
I did that as
floor.
well, the black mattress, and it got a hole in it.
Yeah.
So
one of the reasons for the development of property guardians is to actually prevent squatting and use of that accommodation by people who don't have permission to be there. The reason it's viewed as a lucrative way of doing it for the property guardian and the building owner is that the people who act as property guardians don't really have what's called any security of tenure. The rent that is charged is going to be a lot less than if you're a tenant. And that reflects the fact that you have fewer rights than a tenant.
For some guardians, the very nature of the setup is what makes it appealing. Simeon lives in an old registry office in Brixton.
I know what I'm signing up for. It's very clear. There's nothing hidden in the tenancy, in the terms and conditions. So it is what it is, and it's fine with me. I think because now this is my third guardianship that I've been in, I understand what is needed and what's expected. So it just feels quite normal to me. So my name's Simeon. I've been living in this property in Brixton for 2 years. I pay £590 for my room. I do training for GP practices. It's an accreditation programme. And I also do production management for a club night as well. So everyone meet Noel, honey bum. It's a blessing. Like nowadays you can't actually save money. You are very blessed if you can, specifically in London. So the fact I'm able to save money and save money in London, it's great. See if that light switch should turn a light on, that could be helpful. I don't know if it actually works. I don't go down here that often. This is also another space that we have, which is empty and free. It's kind of like a storage space that we use, but it's also a little creative studio that we have. This is interesting because this room actually gets locked by the Guardian agency because it's empty. This is the better toilet, which is great. And yeah, again, it's actually super cute because people have just kind of like put some things in there that's like quite decorative. Do you want to have a quick look in the toilet? I chose property guardianship as a living option because it gives you the flexibility and the creativity. The flexibility, obviously, you have 4 weeks notice if you would wish to move out, and you can move out at any point, and obviously the creativity when it comes to designing the space, along with the location and the size of the property that you usually get as well. I can decorate my room however I want. You know what I mean? And that is sometimes the restriction that you have by living in kind of like private accommodation. A lot of these things, yes, is blue tacked onto the wall and is also just kind of like Velcro stripped, but also have drilled some holes here and there for the shelvings, like all of these shelvings just here that I put in. And I feel like when you're in private accommodation, you usually kind of have to ask permission for these things. Yeah. So I like the freedom of creativity because I've just expressed my whole self in this room. There's only so many things that you can really change. It's not like the bathroom is a little bit decrepit and crusty. I can't just put a whole new suite in because if I do, you might move out. So you've got to be careful of how much you invest into a guardianship property because at any point you can just be told to leave within a 4-week notice.
It's precarious in the sense that you cannot guarantee that you're going to be at a particular accommodation for any particular period of time. You effectively have a period of time that could be as little as 4 weeks.
It offers flexibility, which can be a real positive and be a draw, but also has its dark side in the sense that flexibility also equates to no security whatsoever. So the idea of a property guardian is that its original kind of meaning is that you're protecting a building from squatters. Now, of course, the irony is that you're living in conditions that are essentially as insecure as being a squatter, you're just paying for it.
To understand how we've reached this point, we need to go back in time a little.
So I would say that property guardianship is symptomatic of huge changes in the housing system in the UK over the past few decades, what we understand as the housing crisis today.
Following upon the words of Britain's housing minister, build all you can and go on building.
There was certainly a huge shift in how housing was understood, and the main policy that kind of shifted our understanding of housing and was a real starting point for the housing crisis we see today was the right to buy.
Michael Heseltine has given to millions, yes, millions of council tenants the right to buy their own homes.
which was introduced by Margaret Thatcher, then Prime Minister, in 1980.
For us, the goal of a property-owning democracy.
And meant that council tenants were eligible for the first time to purchase their council homes, usually for a fraction of their market value, sometimes at 80% discounts, huge discounts, which meant that there were huge numbers of council properties that then moved into the private rented sector, and there became this stratification of wealthier council tenants buying up their homes and those who couldn't afford to do that, i.e. the lowest income, generally the poorest in society, remaining in council housing.
Protesters say prices will be too high for tenants and claim the plan is having appalling side effects.
So thousands and thousands and thousands of council homes were lost in this period, which meant a huge dearth of affordable housing that we're still feeling the repercussions of today. But it also changed something ideological in the sense that it became the idea of home ownership and housing as a financial asset and investment became this predominant ideology over and above housing as a human right. Then this was all kind of exacerbated by the 2008 financial crash.
Down 1.7% here, a loss of 37 points or so. Apple shares are just getting hammered this morning.
People now recognise that this is a global crisis that requires a global solution.
Which then triggered austerity culture.
The responsible thing to do is to get a grip on the debt.
So Prime Minister of the time, David Cameron, reacted to the financial crash by introducing harsh austerity measures.
Is austerity bringing massive government borrowing under control? Or is
which, by and large, massively targeted public services, including social housing, so further slashing the ability for local authorities to kind of build social housing and further kind of creating those divisions in housing. This setting, therefore, allowed things like property guardianship to emerge in response to that growing unaffordability as alternatives, I suppose, and ways for people to continue living in increasingly expensive housing.
My name's Verity. I've been a property guardian for over 3 years. Yeah, so I live in what used to be a care home, and I live with around 50 people, maybe over. Yeah, and we all get on really well. It was $635 with bills when I first moved in, and over 3 years it's gone up to $720 with bills, which isn't so bad for a private rental, but yeah, for a property guardianship, it's kind of matching a private rental.
One of its original appeals was that it was a lot cheaper than private renting. That seems to be changing a lot in recent years, where rents are almost as high as if you're in the more standard private rented sector, which I think is just indicative of just how out of control the private rented sector is, especially in places like London.
Yeah, it's really strange that it's kind of seen as this cheaper alternative or like a different way of living when I guess it's not so different, and it's kind of the same price now. I think gentrification is like something that's like it gets bandied about a lot because it's such a catch-all for so many different things. Like, is it cultural? Is it, areas changing? Is it kind of maybe a good thing if there's more parks and benches and streetlights? Guardianships are sort of when a space is not being used for its primary purpose, and so you're sort of holding that space ready for it to be developed. Is that waiting for the area to change or the council to do something, or is that waiting until the value of the land goes up? With so many people on the wait list for social housing, it's an issue, and it does make you complicit in gentrification in such an indirect way.
So is this really the win-win it's made out to be? And who really benefits?
The more people that do it, the more the rent's going to go up again.
Agreed.
Do you know what I mean?
Agreed, yeah.
Because the more demand there is for it, it's
Yeah.
going to go even more expensive.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, what's the point?
Property guardianship is absolutely not a solution to the housing crisis, in my opinion. It is a symptom of really what I'd say is far beyond crisis at this point.
Property guardianships are a plaster on an amputation.
There's no solution for any housing problem. It's a solution that some people have come up with to limit squatting and damage to property.
Property guardianships, as far as I see them, very, very disproportionately benefit the guardianship firms.
So do I think guardianships are a solution to the housing crisis? I do, I 100% do. I just want guardian agencies to be very mindful of how they set the prices of the rooms.
They're exploiting the lack of housing that they're also not building.
The only way it will go away is if there's a greater accessibility to much more affordable rented accommodation.
It's time to build 1.5 million new homes across the country.